Hey guys, today we will make a competition between 1,000 cockroaches and 1,000 aggressive red wood ants. Let's see who will be stronger both in single competitions and in army-to-army battles. The cockroaches are unusual, they are Turkmen. Such insects do not know how to move on vertical smooth surfaces, in particular, on glass. They can only climb up where there is a little sealant left in the aquarium. And you can find white individuals among the cockroaches. White color is typical for cockroaches that have recently had a molt. Let's move on to the ants. The red wood ones are the creators of those very high anthills that can be found in any forest. So, they've decided to form a pyramid in one of the corners. And we begin checking both groups of insects with a boiled quail egg. I wonder who will cope faster, ants or cockroaches. We peel the egg, cut it in half. Each part goes to the aquariums and start taking bets. The cockroaches immediately tear into the egg and begin to bite off pieces from it. But the ants have a slightly different situation. These run around the aquarium and ignore the egg. Most of them even prefer to sit in the corners. We put the half to the corner, where the concentration of insects is clearly more. Meanwhile, the cockroaches have already surrounded a half of the egg from all sides, biting off the pieces evenly. They do it disorganized and constantly push each other off the treat. The ants act differently, creating a certain cue for the right to eat. Half an hour later we can already conclude that the approach of cockroaches has turned out to be more effective and they clearly lead in eating. This is how it has been happening for the next 2 hours. We have discovered a very interesting detail during the process of eating eggs by both species of insects. The cockroaches like protein more. They have completely eaten it in 2 hours, almost ignoring the yolk. At the same time, the ants like the yolk more and they eat it more actively. We can of course call the speed of eating active in comparison with cockroaches. While some of the ants are slowly finishing eating the egg, the rest are hanging around. Let's check how the ants will behave if we put one cockroach to them. It begins to rush in all directions literally from the start. But the ants have already noticed the stranger. The forest inhabitants immediately pounce, begin to bite it and grab its paws. Such ants bite very painfully, besides, they spray with burning acid. But even being on its back, the cockroach tries to resist, spinning around its axis. And what's interesting is that the ants do not attack the insect altogether but only a few red soldiers. The rest are just fussing around as if nothing is happening nearby. At some point the ants grab the cockroach and carry it somewhere. So, one cockroach against a whole gang of aggressive ants is not a warrior at all. Let's see how the insects will react to the liquid product. Let it be Pepsi. We draw the drink into a syringe and put a plastic container in each aquarium. The cockroaches not only drink, some even decide to swim. However, the ants also do not differ in organization. But the speed of both groups of insects is different. It takes the cockroaches only 20 minutes to empty the container. But the ants need 1 hour and 15 minutes to do the same. And now let's see how the ant and the cockroach will be versus each other, 1-to-1. The petri dish will act as an improvised octagon. The ant immediately begins to chase the cockroach. Basically, the ant has definitely become the winner here judging by the score. It is definitely combative by nature, which cannot be said about the cockroach. Let's offer two communities of insects one more yummy, a banana. We cut off 2 equal pieces and put them into each aquarium. The ants again decide that there is nowhere to hurry. Well, the cockroaches predictably surround the sweet fruit from all sides. And they have eaten this banana in just 10 minutes. The ants haven't coped even by half after the same time. While the red forest dwellers are slowly enjoying the fruit, it's time to check how 3 ants will feel in the company of 100 cockroaches. Perhaps the ants are not as fast in eating food as cockroaches, but they definitely lead in matters of sharpness and conflict. Once they are inside the aquarium, the reds begin to hang around the cage searching for someone to fight. One of the ants grabs the cockroach's paw, and then it tries to throw it off, helplessly running back and forth. These fearless insects are still ready to rant and rave in spite of the numerical enemy's superiority. The main thing is that there is a victim. The 1,000 by 1,000 fight is getting closer, and meanwhile we'll give the insects a piece of boiled chicken meat. It seems that the ants like meat much more than anything before. They immediately pounce and everyone wants to tear off a piece. Moreover, each of them pulls the meat so strongly in its direction that as a result the piece moves around the aquarium. That's why we even have to rearrange the time-lapse camera all the time. Everything is stable with cockroaches. As we have already found out, they are omnivores, so they do not refuse from meat. The ants finally finished eating after an hour and 40 minutes. This is the first product that they managed to eat before cockroaches. The cockroaches completely turned away from the meat an hour later. By the way, they did not eat it, but rather drank, because all the moisture was extracted from it. Dried meat stopped interesting them. So, we gradually came to the main issue of our video. What would happen if 1,000 redwood ants came across 1,000 ever-hungry cockroaches? We divide the ant aquarium into 2 halves, moving the inhabitants into one part. In the second part of the aquarium we put the whole cockroach population. The battle begins. Well, it's difficult to name it as a battle. Crazy cockroaches begin to run over the heads of the belligerent ants. There has already been a sharp smell of formic acid above the aquarium after the battle beginning. Some cockroaches run into the corner to hide from the attack. But there the red owners are waiting for them. Pretty soon it's turned out that the situation is not in favor of the ants and the floor is covered with the bodies of the fallen in the battle. Although they are good fighters one by one, it did not help them against hordes of cockroaches. It would seem that the outcome of the battle is decided, but suddenly, something begins to happen. The smell of acid appears and the cockroaches from the left half of the aquarium rushes in all directions. The surviving ants have grouped and avenged their dead comrades. Judging by the fact how this ant beats a cockroach alone, they are not going to give up. In any case, the outcome of the battle has not yet been decided, and both groups intend to fight for a long time, so let's leave them for a day. After 24 hours, we decide to take a look at how the battle is progressing there, and an amazing picture appears in front of us. The surviving ants, like 300 Spartans, group in one part of the aquarium and fight off all the attacks of cockroaches that are passing by. The cockroaches have also lost a lot of fighters, and therefore they do not risk approaching the evil ants. Thus the wall-to-wall battle ends.